Welcome to the 16th episode of All About the Experiences. If you can believe this, today is my sweet 16, and I am completely excited. I feel like I'm a full-fledged podcast host, and let me tell you, the experiences just keep on coming. I want to extend a huge thank you to our last episode's guest, DJ I Am Noel, and congratulate him on the release of his new song and video, Keep Fighting On. If you have not heard it, you must go and download it. And if you want a sneak peek of the video, definitely go to my website, allabouttheexperiences.com. And there you can definitely view it and just truly be inspired the same way I am. This is also a great way to go ahead and keep up with my past guests and also find out who's coming next on the show. And also just finding out more about the brand and what I'm doing over here. Keep me honest, I have to tell you, today's guest discovered her passion for hospitality while working for a catering company in Willamette, and I hope I said that correctly, Valley Wine Country during high school. And you ask, well, where is Willamette Valley? Well, it's about a 150-mile long valley in Oregon, and it's home to over 500 wineries. So, your girl has to make her way there. You already know that this is my kind of town by saying that there's 500 wineries, I'm there. So just know that there is a road trip or a quick Southwest flight in my future very soon. After graduating from Washington State University with a minor in hospitality, she returned to the Willamette Valley as a catering manager. She enjoyed doing what she loved so much that she continued to plan weddings and make brides' dreams come true. If only I could have had her 27 years ago. Oh my goodness, that day would have been so much different. She then took her passion for events and catering even further and excitedly brought her talents to the Sunriver Resort. And let me tell you, I have been there and it is fabulous, okay? She is the Senior National Sales Manager at Sunriver Resort, and we will definitely get in there and we'll talk about our interactions there. So much good information is going to come out of this podcast today. She is very well known amongst her peers as the go-to person for all things hospitality, and I know this firsthand as well. She has a very unique way of making her clients feel incredibly special and valued. And I know this because I am one of her clients. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, her position had a drastic change, and traveling all over the country, it just wasn't happening anymore. But as being a top sales producer, you have to figure out, oh my goodness, how am I going to pivot? The dreaded P word, if we all have come to know, love, and appreciate a true new meaning to that word, right? Well, she went ahead and decided, you know what, even though live events have come to a complete screeching halt, I got to figure out different ways to not only drum up that interest back and get people confident. And what other way to get people confident but through wine? So it was during this time that she found herself in business at Scout Cellar as an independent wine consultant. I have had the opportunity firsthand to experience this wine, and I can attest as a certified wine drinker that this is definitely some wonderful wine, to which I have to admit I have a little bit going on right now. And of course, it's my sweet 16, so I had to. Cheers. In addition to loving her job, she also loves spending time in Portland with her husband and handsome young son, kayaking, gardening, wine tasting, and obviously loving everything that comes with living in the Willamette Valley. Without further delay, I extend a huge welcome to Jena Dyches to the All About the Experience podcast, and welcome and raise your glass. Jena's in the house.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I am so pleased and just tickled to be here. Cheers.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. This is definitely long overdue, but I am certainly excited because I know that you bring so much to the table. I think the last time that we saw each other, we were in Dallas, Texas,
Yep.
and we had a little wine during that time as well. But you
Smidge.
know, it's just a little smidge, but it's always so nice to be able to not only have an opportunity to work with you, but also to be able to break bread. And I always say I do the best business with my friends, and you have fast become one of my dear friends. And I have to tell you, whenever I know that we have an industry event and there's the potential for you to be there, I'm there. I find a way
Yes.
to be there.
Oh my gosh. That goes both ways. Absolutely.
Thank
You're one
you.
of those people where I feel like when I see you, we just pick up right where we left off.
Oh, easily. That's what good
Yeah.
girlfriends do. And especially over
Yeah.
a glass of vino, right? I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Well, I have to just first start off by asking you. I mean, I kind of gave them a little teaser in the beginning, but how did you get your start in hospitality? And did you just always know that this was going to be this is your jam? This is
Yeah.
definitely your jam.
Yeah, I am one of those weird people that decided in high school, like, oh, I'm going to be a wedding planner. So I started a catering company, and I'm so sorry, but I will correct you. It's Willamette. So you can remember it by saying Willamette, damn it.
Willamette, damn it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Now, I'll remember
That's
that.
okay. Nobody else outside of Oregon or Washington might know that. So,
Willamette.
yeah, so I started at Willamette Valley Vineyards at this small catering company, like 15 years old, washing dishes. So
Wow.
I can literally say I've worked myself from the ground up in the hospitality industry. And it was the weddings that did it for me. So I just loved like every aspect of it. Like I would like keep their like monogrammed napkins because I'm like, oh, I was part of their day.
Right.
So it definitely like struck a chord with me early on to be passionate about what this industry can bring.
Absolutely. And it shows in everything that you do. You said that since you started when you were 15 years old. So I know that that gives you a true appreciation of what it is to literally start entry level position and then look at you now. I mean, you are moving and shaking, even in the midst of all of whatever we've got going on here. And hopefully we're coming towards the tail end of it. I don't think so, but I'm
No.
crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just shows. I can remember when I came out to Sunriver Resort, and I have to tell you, you know the backstory to my travel woes getting
Oh
there.
my
But
gosh, yes.
yeah, it was one thing after another. But I have to tell you, once I got there, it was almost like I had been transported into a different world, and it was just so serene. And obviously it was for a film, and we had a bunch of different planners that were there, and they were all there to see what Sunriver was all about. But
Yeah.
beyond that is to really, when you're doing business, you want to connect face to face with the people that
Yeah.
you'll be working with to bring events to fruition. And the wonderful thing about that time period, there was a group that was in-house that you have year after year. And without really having a formal introduction, I just happened to be in the lobby, and the planner was in there at the time, and she was just kind of talking, and we just had a loose casual conversation. But I mean, she had nothing but wonderful things to say, not only about the service and the food, but obviously, I mean, you look around and the ambiance is there. And my favorite part, I hate to admit this, but it's true, that big old grizzly bear you all have I had to go over and give
Dakota?
him a big hug. He was so
I
cute.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dakota's our best welcomer. No, I
I
couldn't
tell
agree
you.
with you more, Cheryl. I mean, we are very blessed at Sunriver. We've been, a part of this community for 50 years. So we
Wow.
have legacy clients, and we're part of people's stories. So that's, something that Sunriver doesn't take lightly is, the story and the role that we play. I grew up going to Sunriver. So the fact that I get to work there now, like, it's magical. It's just a magical place. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I didn't pay that client to say that. I didn't plant her there, I promise.
No, it was just so how we ended up. So how I am about changing my hair. I was coming through the lobby she saw my hair, and I think it had a little touch of purple. Obviously, I love a little purple. And she said to me, "I love your hair." And I was like, "Thank you." And so we got into, you know how girls, what we do, we
Uh-huh.
kiki about our hair. And so we were sitting there having this conversation, and she just happened to ask me what brought me there. And so I started sharing my story, and we just started exchanging information. So it was completely happenstance that we had this conversation, but I'm so glad we did, because completely organic. Had no idea that she was a planner. She had no idea that I was a planner. And it was just really refreshing to get that, really first rate information. And it wasn't. But I mean, obviously, I've been there and I've experienced the resort, and it's absolutely beautiful. And again, the just the food, the when you step out, and I remember you telling me this, you're like, you'll probably want to take a coffee, out on the deck and everything. And I was thinking to myself, really? Maybe see, I won't it be cold? But it was like the most crisp weather. You have this wonderful cup of coffee in your hand, and literally I'm
Oh,
just
yes.
just drinking in all of this, beautiful landscape that's around me. And I was right over the golf course,
Yeah.
and there was I believe like a creek or a river going through, and I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm a city girl, so this was all, I was just completely enamored. But
Yeah.
it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience overall. I met some
Yeah.
really incredible people outside of yourself, of course, but
Yeah.
it's just like you said, it's a magical place.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's just something about the setting, and that's why our founder decided to do it there. It's just so naturally beautiful, and you can't help but it's why I love to bring people like you out to the resort. 'Cause I'm like, you don't understand it till you like smelled the air and like stood on that deck with your coffee, or like watched the sun set behind Mount Bachelor. Like, it's
Yes.
just a magical, like, moving experience. And I know, like, most salespeople at resorts will be like, oh, it's just so unique and
Right.
beautiful. But I'm like, no, no, no. Like, mine really is so unique and so beautiful. So I'm just so
Absolutely.
glad you got to come. And like, I feel like that was a special fam class that we had that year. Like, that
It
was like a
definitely
special group.
was.
It was like a sisterhood.
It totally, and you know what? I think when you think where that was then and where we're at now, oh my goodness, I do anything to transport myself back. And
Mhm.
so I'll segue into this. As a planner, I'm always sharing with my other planners, we have this network where you're like, hey, have you thought about doing, an executive retreat here, or, an incentive, trip here or there. And so we share this type of information. And one of the wonderful things that I can say, because I'm a foodie, I like to go back to the food and beverage,
Mhm.
but that dinner that you all hosted for us, I think it was like 14 or 15 courses. Like I
It was
was
a lot.
like I was in a food coma, but when I tell you, I didn't want to miss a single course, because everything was just, it was orchestrated so well. The table was absolutely stunning, and we were in was correct me if I'm incorrect. It was the barn. Was it, tell me what
It's
that
called the
room,
Great Hall.
the Great
Yeah.
Hall, but it
Yeah.
gives you this feeling of being in
Very
this
rustic. Yeah.
mystical kind of rustic barn, and you have like great setups for DJ. And if you wanted to do food stations, or, any other kind of interactive activity, which we did, which was a lot of fun. I think we ended up doing a treasure hunt. I don't remember. I'm not going to lie. After about my fourth or fifth course, I was a little tipsy, but it was good because the
Yeah.
food was delicious.
When the bartenders started serenading us.
Yes. But it was such a wonderful experience. But I say
Yeah.
all that to say, what would be your, I don't even want to call it a pitch, but much like you talk to me, what would be that thing that you tell other planners like myself that you need to bring your groups here? Because especially now, people are really trying to limit how much time you're on an airline, or is somewhere that's drivable, or you're on a flight less than 3 hours. This is the place to go if you're on the West Coast. I mean, period. I didn't care if I lived on the East Coast, I would still fly. But can you lend a little bit to that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we're talking current times, like if you're a planner that's cautious about COVID, which I think we'll probably be dealing with into next year, and I don't think this industry or certainly your meetings can handle being virtual for a whole nother year, right? There's that element of energy that you get from being live with people
Right.
6 feet apart. But I think what Sunriver really lends itself to in that capacity is that all of our entrances are exterior entrances. There's no elevators. We're set up campus style. So the beautiful thing about that is, you're walking to your meeting space. You step outside of your room, like Cheryl was saying, and take in the mountain air. Like you're not stuck in one building with everybody. So I think just in that sense, I used to tell people like it's super like close together, and then COVID hit. I'm like, everything's spread apart. Like it's super easy to navigate, but it's like campus style because suddenly that is, important to people. And then,
Certainly.
the thing that I would add and what I try to explain to people when they're like, Sunriver, like what is Bend, Oregon? Like, doesn't it rain there all the time? Like, I don't get it. And I'm like, no. Like so the state splits in half. It is super rainy on the Portland side, like 45 inches a year. And then in Bend, it's only like 11 inches of rain a year. And a lot of the precipitation is snow. So it's the high desert. So you have to think like Park City,
Yes.
Denver. That's going to be very similar climates to what Bend is. And I would say that people are ready for a unique and different destination. So when you're
Mhm.
thinking of a mountain resort, so you're sourcing Tahoe or Vail or Park City or looking at Montana, like think of Sunriver because I promise you, once they've had the experience, they're like, oh, yeah, no, that was incredible. That was so unique. There was something so special. The heart of our associates.
Mhm.
I'm like, you can forget like Southern hospitality once you've had Northwest hospitality. Like, there's just our people are so genuine. They want to serve you. Like, they get excited when we get to bring groups in. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I think that's really what sets Sunriver apart is that it's a different mountain destination experience that people aren't always used to. Like, they don't expect it, right? It's the unexpected.
Totally.
And they get there, like your experience, and they're like, wow.
I mean, I
Okay.
think even the first night when we had the reception and we were all out there, it was so crisp, so clear. The gentleman that comes out where we were able to look at, it was all of the astrology and looking at
Mhm.
the stars, and literally was able to get a clear picture of the moon using my iPhone, of course, using his telescope. No, that was not my thing in
Yeah.
school,
I'm like,
but
are you going to throw out the official verbiage of what kind of
I
telescope?
was thinking about it, then I was just like, that's probably not
I'm
the
like, you're
thing
a
to
pretty
do.
genius person. I want to watch this go down.
It's gonna go down fast, girl. Let me tell you. But I say that to say it was just like, it was such a wonderful experience. Then you all have some of the most talented um, talent and musicians that come in. And that's one of the things that I also want to add to is that everyone that is on property is super knowledgeable. I'm just fortunate that I have Jenna on my team, and she would be the end all be all. She could tell you exactly how to literally bring your whole program to fruition and probably make it better than you could ever expect it to be. But I don't remember the gentleman. And this is the crazy thing, it popped up in my Facebook memories today. I was there 2 years ago today, and it popped up in my Facebook memories. But the gentleman that was playing the guitar, and literally, I don't care what song it was, you could throw out, it could be a Cardi B song, and I guarantee you he could play it. It was just like he
Uh-huh.
was one of those just really talented musicians and just
I
brought
think there was a
everybody
sing
in.
along that night, wasn't there?
Yeah, or we made it one.
Nice.
Well, you know how we do. For sure. But
Yeah.
back to what you were saying is that yes, it's absolutely a magical place. Could you talk a little bit about the different activities? Because I was just like, what else can they think of? Like literally.
Mhm.
Now, I was like, a little apprehensive about the horseback riding, but I have to tell you, I'm all about the experiences. And I always say this, I'll try an experience at least twice. Now, after the second time and I'm not for it, then I'm just not for it. But I can say I did it. Check that off the bucket list. I had such a wonderful therapeutic time with these horses because you don't realize, I mean, especially if you're a city girl like myself, and you have this connectivity to this animal, this large animal. And I mean, there is a little bit of fear because everybody knows, anybody that knows me, I have a fear of dogs too. But, I got past that. And I believe my horse was Peanut Butter. And
Love that you remember.
yes, we had a bonding experience. And
Yeah.
Peanut Butter kept nipping at other horses' tails while I was just like, please, Peanut Butter. Because, they get a little antsy. And I was like, Peanut Butter, this is not how we want to go down. This is not what we're doing. But I got to understand that means like move along. And it was so funny because our tour guide was just like, no, that's just like when you're sitting in the car on the freeway and you're like, come on, move. He said,
Chap,
it's kind
chap.
of, yeah, chap, let's get it moving. He says, that's what Peanut Butter is saying. And so once Peanut Butter and I had an understanding, I was just like, yeah, I was with Peanut Butter. Come on, let's move. Let's get to trotting. And so we did that. And so when I came back, I was a bona fide certified cowgirl. Let's just say that. But the connection that I had with this animal that I'm not going to kid you not, when I first walked up to, I was terribly fearful of, but that soon relaxed. And I realized that in order for us to make it through this trek and these trails, that we definitely had to connect and kind of communicate, even though we speak different languages. Because I don't think I speak equestrian, but hey, I got there. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And it just lends to one of those things that I'll never forget. And I will forever be connected to that, so.
Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
you
And
tell I enjoyed my visit?
I know. And I'm going to say, like, I'm pretty sure you had a full cowgirl outfit on. So while you might not be a horse person, you can dress the dress or you can walk the walk.
I'm all about the fashions. Okay. I was here for it. I was just like, oh yeah. And that hat, believe it or not, I purchased when I was in Reno. And it was so funny because when I was in Reno, everybody was just like, oh, where are you? Why are you dressing up? Like, this is wonderful. And I was just like, I'm going to be doing some horseback riding soon. And I need to dress the part. Yeah. So I had my flannel on, had my hat, my boots.
You had it down. Yeah. I loved it. No, I mean, and that's the experiences that people have, right? So one of the big things that sets Sunriver apart is all of the onsite recreation we have. And when I say onsite recreation, I'm literally like, the stables are on property. Like, you can walk to them, or you can take one of our bikes and ride it out to the stables, because we have over 45 miles of paved bike trails that are flat.
That is a good thing to say.
My non-athletic people like myself out. I'm like, if it's all hills, like I'm riding up and down Napa Valley, I'm not into that kind of 45 miles. So
I was like, did you want us to sweat?
I know. It's gonna ruin my cowgirl outfit. Yeah.
Right.
We have 6 miles of the Deschutes River that beautifully runs through the resort. So you can go out to the marina, again, all on property. We have 4 golf courses. So, you can play a different course every day if that's your cup of tea. So just the amount of activities that sit on site at the resort is really, really, really what makes it so easy for meeting planners like you, because your attendees aren't jumping in a bus and like, where are we going? Where are we at?
Right.
Like, what? Like, so it makes it really easy. And that doesn't even go to touch all of the activities that surround Sunriver, right? So Bend is a mecca for outdoor recreation. Like, I always joke, you go into Bend and you can't tell the millionaires from the hourly employees because they're all wearing Patagonia. Like,
yes.
You can't tell. And they're, hitting up the mountain bike trails and then going fly fishing and then going to go like, float the river. And they just live this beautiful lifestyle in Bend. So, all of the recreation that just surrounds the resort is all in this like immensely beautiful setting. So yeah, it's remarkable, and it makes it, great for experiences so that you can look back and be like, hey, Buttercup, we had a thing.
We definitely had a
No,
thing.
butter. What did you say? I already forgot.
Peanut butter. Yes. Well, it was absolutely wonderful. One of the things that I also want to, I have to always go back to, foodie in me. The food was so good. Like, and when you're doing all these activities, you're going throughout the day. And, when you are on property, like Jenna was saying, you don't have to worry about losing attendees because they're all self contained there. Now, mind you, you might lose them to doing their activity, but you at least you know where to find them at. But everything is walkable. It's definitely one of those places where even if you're not necessarily a very outdoorsy or physically, robust activity type person, if you will, you'll find like cute little nooks to, like, first of all, there's some shopping, anybody that knows me, I can get my shopping on.
Yeah.
There are boutiques there, and I just so you know, when I came back with those socks that I bought, my son was like, I'm the coolest mom ever.
Yes.
Facts.
Yes.
It
Points.
happened. But going back to the food, the culinary is amazing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a farm to table experience because the chef that did our dinner, that 15 course dinner that night, it was amazing. It was simply amazing. And I still have, let me just say this to everybody. At each person's place setting, and I don't know if you've ever had a 15 course meal, but it literally had a menu that was personalized with my name at the top, and it was explaining the pairings and, the vino, and what the entree or the next course was gonna. It was just a one. I've never experienced anything like that.
You
Now,
have
the
that
closest
that
I get
Julia
to,
Roberts. Yeah, that
yes,
Julia Roberts moment where you're like, where do I
oh
start?
yeah,
What work do I start with?
that's exactly what I was totally Julia Roberts that night. And I have to tell you, it was just a wonderful, and I know that the whole dinner told a story. I don't quite remember what it was, but it was delicious.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, our culinary team is they're truly artists. Like, and I think that the whole farm to table thing can come kind of cliche. So the way that I like to explain it is that Sunriver takes great pride in being one of the largest resorts in the Pacific Northwest.
Mm,
So when you're talking about the volume of business that we can give to small farmers and source as
yes.
locally as possible, and still provide that great experience. That's a great pride that we have in just the economic, development and the economic, putting the money back into our local economy as much as possible. And especially, during these times when you just think of, these people that are going to need that more than ever.
Certainly.
So, I really think that they take great pride in understanding their sourcing and what that can do for the community as we, are the largest resort, one of the largest resorts in the Northwest. So it's pretty special what they do, to be able to create those experiences. Absolutely.
I love how you put that. That is, yes, very eloquent and very much to the point. And let me ask you this: um lending to, obviously, there's not a podcast episode that I've had to date that hasn't talked about COVID and all that we're doing. How have you all been doing during the pandemic? I mean, obviously there's been a turn down in business across the board, and the hospitality industry has been severely impacted. And one of the things that I've made it a point to do weekly is to reach out to some of my partners, supplier partners, just to check on them and see. And unfortunately, I found that some are no longer, necessarily working in their roles. They may still be with the property, or they're just gone altogether. So, how has the pandemic affected Sunriver during all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're touching on really 2 points there. There's how has it affected Sunriver and how has it affected me
Mhm.
when you talk about reaching out to people. So as far as Sunriver goes, I go back to us being a legacy resort that people have stories that they hold in their hearts about Sunriver. And when things get hard, you want to go back to those beautiful memories and those beautiful stories. So while we have lost a lot of our group business, we can still host up to 100 people. So we're still doing some group business, luckily.
Okay,
We've been selling out with our vacationers and our leisure travelers.
I bet.
And it's fantastic. I think, again, I go back to people being very comfortable with the outdoor entrances and just the way Sunriver is naturally set up. But they're all the predictions are saying that the lifestyle outdoor, more remote resorts like Sunriver are going to be the first ones to come back, and Sunriver is absolutely a testament to that. So
That's wonderful.
yeah, Sunriver has actually fared pretty well. We've had to make some hard decisions, and I roll that into how has it personally affected me. And I had people in the industry that I've looked up to for years as mentors, right? And to watch them lose their job
Mhm.
and me stay on, you almost have like survivor's guilt,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
you are the one, you got to keep your job and your livelihood, and you're not thinking about like having to pay rent next month because by the grace of God and by whatever it is, you got to be the one that stayed on. So it's been really hard to reach out and just watch people have to go through that. And it just doesn't seem fair, especially when we are rolling into this year and we're like, oh, it's an election year. Like, oh, anything could happen. Like, oh,
Right.
that's cute. Like, little did we know. So I will say, if anybody's watching this that's hiring, hire a hospitality professional, because they are the most remarkable people and they work their booties
Very
off.
hard. Very
So
hard. Yes,
yeah.
for sure. Well, I think this is the perfect segue into definitely what I'm currently sipping on. So I just want to do an official cheers to you for just being an amazing, not only an amazing person, but amazing at all that you do. I think about when I first met you to where we are now, and I'm just like, you're my forever friend. And I always
Likewise.
lend that to say that you want to do business with the people that are, you're close to and you trust and you love, and they're your friends. And then the girlfriend side of me is looking at you, and I'm just like, you better work. You better do what you do. So here it is. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and you've decided, I'm going to start a new business. Let's
Mhm.
talk about that because I know what I'm sipping on currently.
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of all of this, COVID has really changed my job. Cheryl, you hit right on it. Like I used to, I think I traveled like 17 weeks last year, and got to connect with people like you and have these really authentic conversations. And I love nothing more than shouting Sunriver from the rooftops because I think it's the greatest place on the planet.
Yes.
And so it's like, it gives me joy. Like I'm one of those people Sunday night, I'm like, oh, I gotta go to work tomorrow. Yay. Like that's how much I love what I do. And when it all came to a halt, and out of our 200 full-time employees, I was one of 30 that stayed on.
Mm,
And we had to go through what I refer to as the dark era. It was very humbling to realize like my job has forever changed. This thing that I loved so much and looked forward to so much has forever changed. I do believe eventually our industry will come back to the level that it was at, most certainly, but I will never forget it. And I'm not looking to go back to where we were, right? We're going to go to where we're going to be, right? So I
right.
think people keep waiting, like, I can't wait to go back to normal. I can't wait to go back to normal. Well, normal's never going to exist
That's
anymore,
never going
right?
to
We've
happen again.
all gone through so much this year, that I have to promise myself I'm going to take that with me. So, part of that was, two pieces of this for me. One, I needed something to believe in and I needed to sell it again. Like there's not a lot of selling going on at Sunriver right now. Like I can cancel the hell out of some group business, but I am not doing a lot of selling. So, that was something where I'm like, I need to find something I can be passionate about and get excited and sink my teeth into again.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second part of that is just having that secondary income, right? Salespeople are commission based. And when there's not a lot of things booking, that goes away. And as a top sales manager for 4 or 5 years, that's something that affects you and your family. And like, oh, okay. I was not prepared for that. So, having that, secondary residual income coming in is the other part of it. So yeah, that's why I decided to jump into Scout and Cellar and be an independent wine consultant for them. So
I have to tell everyone, cheers to you. So I'm going to show everyone. This is the rosé that I'm drinking right now, and I'm going to let you pronounce it.
I can't even see it.
It's the Etnico, E-T-I.
Oh yeah, from Chile.
Yes.
Fabulous, right? Do you love it?
This is the truth, and I absolutely love it. Then my next favorite is something that's very new to you all, is the Wilderness Rose. And everybody that knows me knows that I'm a Tito's girl, but like I also love my vino. But this is a nice alternative to if you're doing a mixed drink. Look, honey, I looked up and you can do all kinds of wonderful cocktails with this. And so I have done a mule with it and I love it. I love it. I love the fact that it is a clean wine. Yes, I love that you don't have a hangover. Not that you're drinking in excess or anything, but I'm just saying.
No, never.
Yeah, no, never that. But it's wonderful. It's light. It's refreshing. I might be getting into the woods when I say this, but I'm a woman of a certain age, and I'm going through some what they call menopause. And so with that being said,
at 24? Oh, wow, that seems early.
Now everybody sees why she's my bestie. So with that being said, yes, it doesn't trigger a hot flash. I'm not currently melting or anything. Well, maybe the nose is a little shiny, but I say all this to say it's a very clean wine. It's also vegan. I mean, you can't go wrong. And then, I mean, like, don't I just look fabulous when I'm holding my rosé?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's really the difference between Scout and Cellar. And I'm like, I could have found any, I refer to it in my side hustle. I could have found any side hustle, right? But I'm like, there is one thing I've been very passionate about during COVID and quarantine days, and that would be my wine. And I was tired of just, that groggy feeling that the sugars do to you. So the whole thing about Scout and Cellar is that it's a clean crafted wine. So there's no added sugars. So this Wilderness, the Grove mixable that you like, this only has 0.7 grams of residual sugars in it. So this is like a higher content. It has 19.5% alcohol. And they do this as like an alternative for cocktails by combining fermented white and rosé wines in a distilled neutral grape wine. So it's still a wine, but you can kind of mix it like a liquor. But you just don't have all those sugars. And then, again, I'm drinking the Resident Pinot Gris. And this is actually from Oregon. So this is right down from my house in the Willamette Valley. And this one also has very low sugars in it. And then the other things, they're all low sulfite, they're organically grown. And here's one of my favorite parts. Again, I go back to like that giving back to the economy. They're all from very small batch vineyards, right? So a lot of these wineries that they come from are family owned. They pick the grapes by hand. And there's a lot of care that goes into them. And I'm like, I can get into that story. I can get into these wines. So that's what's really driven me to believing in this product and being willing to share it with people.
I love it. And when I saw that you had launched your business, I very impressed because even for me, I launched the podcast during the pandemic. And, I think we're all searching not only for, additional streams of income, but also ways that we can still connect. I mean, you and I, both very, as you can see, even during this interview, we love people, we love connecting, and obviously we love our wine too. And I think that this is just perfect for you. And I know that how many lives that you touch, not even just in your day job, but just who you are as a person. So I can only imagine. Hello, Jenna, wine. This is a match made in heaven. I'm just saying.
There's the
So,
karaoke machine. Oh, wait,
hello.
where are we going?
Where is the chef with 15 courses? I'm just
Coley,
saying.
come on. Where's my chef?
But let me ask you this. So, like, I obviously we can speak all night about, the wines and the different products, but tell me what it is as a woman starting a business during a pandemic. But also, if another woman is sitting here and she's listening and she's like, I'm looking to change, I'm looking to add an additional stream of income, how can she start her business with Scout and Cellar?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think you need to first ask, why do I want to do this, right? Get to the root of like, why am I seeking out this additional opportunity? Or maybe you are a victim of COVID in the sense that you have lost your main income. This can be a great opportunity for you. I think there can be some apprehension around businesses like this. And what I will say is look at any Fortune 500 company, look at anything out there and look at the way it's structured. You have somebody at the top and people at the bottom making you money and somebody leading the way. So, I would kind of tend to shake from that and think of this more as a franchise in a box. And that's what I loved about it, right? So they gave me all the tools that I needed to be able to start my franchise. And it only cost me $249. And by week 2, I had already made that investment back.
Wow.
So to me, it was a really low risk. It fed my why of really needing that creative output that sink my teeth into something, and then also get that residual income. But if you're interested in, just like a casual conversation, you can see me here. I'm very transparent. I'm very authentic. I am never going to push somebody into something that's not right for them. So I would say reach out to me. You can reach me at scoutandcellar.oregon@gmail.com. And I would be more than happy to have just an authentic conversation with you about your why and why this might fit for you.
And do you also have a social media presence with regards to Scout and Cellar?
I do. The best way is on Instagram at my name. So you can see it, where is it? Up in the corner at Jena Dyches on Instagram. That's a really great way to reach me, or find me on LinkedIn, or find me on Facebook. You can find me a million ways.
When they find you, they will not want to lose you. Trust me, because I feel the same way. And it's just, you have this just innate ability to connect with people where they are. I think about not only just from the fam, but just every time that I've seen you since then. And you're like a magnet. Like, people want to be around you. And I'm always surprised. They're like, oh, I'm like, oh, where are you going? Oh, I'm going down, we're going to go have, apps and cocktails. And I'm like, oh, where? With who? And then they're like, Jen, I was like, that's my friend. I get a little territorial around you. I don't know if you noticed that, but I do. But I say all that to say is that you are one of those people that are in the hospitality industry, not only just that everybody wants to gravitate to, but obviously anybody that's listened to this podcast to this point knows that you're very knowledgeable about, your product, which is Sunriver, but also Scout and Cellar, and just how, even when you were sharing how you got your start, you have that passion within you that draws you in. And obviously when someone feels passionate about what they do, it shows in their work and it shows in, their interactions with people. And that's just who you are, Jena. Like, you are one of those people that everybody wants to be around. And even if they don't know you, they want to know you. Of course, especially if I'm
Make me
around, because I'm just like,
cry.
that's my girl right there, Just
You
saying.
are so sweet. And I have to, let me brag on you for a second, because you are absolutely like remarkable in your intelligence and the things that you set out to do and accomplish. Like, sitting down with you and hearing your life story and where you started and how you graduated with your MBA, and you don't take no for an answer. Like, there is no in Cheryl's vocabulary. And I just love that. And I think that's why you and I have such a kinship, is that determination. And you can't let the world hold you down, right? You are all about the experiences. When you launched this podcast, I was like, yeah, that's her. That didn't take her long to come up with that name, because that should be her tagline. Yeah, absolutely. So I just appreciate who you are as a woman and how you just live you, and you are truly authentic to you. So thank you for bringing that piece to the world.
Thank you very much. That is so sweet. You get me all tears.
I feel like we should cheers again.
Yes, cheers. With our Scout Cellar. How about that? Well, as we continue to progress and we try to figure out what this whole pandemic is and how we're going to escape without any marks on us. And again, I need to respond to what you said too about having that survivor's guilt. That's hard. I mean, it's hard, but we all recognize, I think anybody, no matter what side that you're on, you recognize that this is nothing that any of us wanted. And it's been so impactful on every industry, but in particular, the hospitality industry, healthcare. I mean, if you're in healthcare, that's the place to be, because you're going to always have a job to some degree. Everybody is needing that right now. But the thing about it is that you said something earlier about getting back to what's normal. And we know, like, whatever BC was, and I've coined that, BC was before COVID. We all know that we're going to be better to some degree than when we were in BC, but also there are going to be several changes that have come into play. And I think I started off sharing this with you even before we came on to the podcast. I recently attended 2 live events. One was at the Broadmoor through a Smart Meetings event or experience. And then also at Connect when I was in Orlando. And the interesting thing is that I don't think we're going to be moving away from masks anytime soon. I don't know why people get so upset about the hand sanitizer and washing their hands, because these are things that we should have been doing anyway. Now, the mask is something different. Like, I have to tell you, it took a minute for me to really acclimate. When you're at home, you don't have your mask on and you're amongst your family, so you're in your bubble. But when you go outside of that and you have extended periods on the airplane or in transportation from the airport to your, hotel, and then even amongst the hotel, you have to stay covered nose to chin. It's a lot. And it's so funny because I think when I spend maybe an hour or 2 outside the house when I'm going grocery shopping or running errands, and I'm always like, well, as soon as I get in the car, I'm like, oh, but you recognize, one, it's for not only your safety, but also to show that you're, being considerate of others. But then beyond that, when you're traveling, that's a lot of mask time. I'm sorry. It was a lot. And so when it's a different feeling, because once I got, to the hotel, got in my room, it made me really think about coming outside my room again, because I'm like, you have to mask up. And I mean, obviously I'm going to do that. And without provocation, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing that for my own protection as well as others. But it's a lot. it's a lot. And even going further back to like even when you were talking about at Sunriver, like, it's set up, there's no elevators. There were only two to four allowed in the elevator when I was in Orlando. And that's only if you were a family, that you could have four to six, but you would have to already have been in a bubble. But it's just like, you have to really rethink how you're doing things, the directional things. One of the things I was sharing earlier, I was speaking to a friend of mine. He's a third party planner, and he was asking, like, what was the experience like? And I told him, I was just like, first and foremost, before you could even go to general session or any of your breakouts, you would have to go have your temperature done, and then you have your lanyard. On the lanyard, you would get a different colored dot on your lanyard to show that you met the temperature standards and you had been checked
Wow.
out, and that obviously you were good to go, if you will. Being mindful of the direction that you're going in. God forbid you go down the wrong lane in the grocery store.
Oh
I've
my
gotten
gosh,
cussed out, and I was just like, lady, I get it, but like, look, the chips are already in my hand. Can I just grab them and
right.
go?
I didn't see the stop sign, okay?
I didn't see it. But I mean, these are things that you have to be mindful of. I have to say that when I was at the SMART meetings in at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs, very well done. I mean, anybody that's ever been to the Broadmoor, BC before COVID, then they'll know that this is like an historic property. It's beautiful. Everything that they do is, first rate. But in the midst of everything that's going on with the pandemic, with making sure that you are visually seeing people cleaning, which is kind of different for me, because
Right.
normally when you're at a hotel or a resort, you don't see people. You just know that it happens, and you come back in and your room is clean, and it's like,
Tinkerbell came at some point.
yeah, and you know that it was done. But like, this is completely different, and I love seeing that. I have to be honest with you, I love seeing that high touch services are being cleaned on a regular basis. Even with food and beverage, there were like 3 attendants to each station, and obviously for Connect there was like over 700 people there. So they're being very mindful of that. First and foremost, socially distancing, everybody's wearing their mask, or there's I use so much hand sanitizer, I have turned into a lizard. I'll just say that. So, obviously there's hand sanitizing stations. The bathrooms um are being cleaned religiously. Like, literally there's an attendant in there. And you're not able to self-serve yourself, even in the wake of when you think of receptions, and getting your cocktail, you're socially distanced in line, and there were pre-made cocktails to some degree, but then mostly wines, beers, and like hard seltzers, which I got very acclimated to while I was there. So,
Thank you,
which
Florida.
let me speak to that. It's, correct me if I'm wrong, Scout and Cellar has a seltzer as well. It's like a
We
wine
do.
spritzer. It's
Yeah, we
delicious.
have a few. Yeah, and they have way less sugar than what a conventional spritzer with no law would have.
Right.
Yeah, we also have these cute little canned wines too.
Yes,
And usually I'm like, a canned wine, really? But these are like legit good. And my husband
they're
likes to
like
go
legit.
hiking, and I like to drink wine. So I
Yeah,
get to take this.
I love it. And then you can pack it too in your suitcase.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
that was, oh, let me just share this with you as well. So when I got to Connect, which I actually had a meeting with Jena as well, which was different. Like, I was there in person, but she and I had a virtual meeting, which was nice, much like what we're doing now. And as you can see, we obviously connect very well. I will say this, anything that's virtual, you're liable to have some type of technical difficulty. So in a hospitality setting, it's always nice when you're able to follow up with an email, or we'll call or text each other. And the reason being is like, you want that, that connectivity. You want to be able to find out what's the latest in I feel like I have my finger on the pulse right now because you've given us so much about what's going on with Sunriver and obviously with Scout Cellar, but definitely letting us know kind of like what the temperature is like on your property. And again, that's the place to be. That was
Yeah.
one of the things that Michael Dominguez was talking about, was that the properties that are going to be booked with group business first are going to be your resorts, even your gaming facilities, because they're spread out and you don't have to worry about so much one-on-one necessarily contact. And you guys already know how to do it and how to do it well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
certainly. Yeah.
yeah.
And while I agree that there's, everything you went through with Connect, like was probably just beyond obviously anything you've had to do before going to a meeting, right? But what I challenge is like, look at the alternative. Are we just going to stare at each other on screens? Like, had you and I first met on a screen, do you think we would have had that firework of like, lifelong soulmates that I felt
I
like
know,
we
right?
had? Like that probably wouldn't have come across. And if it did, it might have been a little creepy on one of our
Right.
behalf.
For sure.
So what is the alternative, right?
Right.
So I think, we do need to be responsible, absolutely, and
For
take
sure.
care of this responsibly when we come back to the live events world. But think about the alternative. If you don't have that energy, or you're packing your salespeople into a virtual room, like they are not going to get ignited in the same way that they're going to get when they're sitting, in the great hall at Sunriver.
Oh, for sure. And right now, my company was recently acquired. Solara Medical Supplies was acquired by Adapt Health. And so as you're merging companies together, you know that there is an opportunity. Not, I mean, obviously we do the overreaching, everybody's doing Zoom, or, you're on Teams or what have you. But at some point, those, executive team have to get together because obviously they're doing the planning for the following year. And like, who can
Mhm.
plan in this? I mean, I applaud them. I know that it's very difficult right now. You don't know what your budget's going to look like. There's a myriad of different things that come into play. But the one thing that is really important when it comes down to any business is being able to have that connectivity and being able to sit in a room with someone, whether you like them or not, and just say, I'm kidding, I'm not. But anyway, whether you like them or
I'm
not,
not.
and say, hey, maybe we could do this way, or have that synergy amongst each other in the planning stages, and what you're going to do for your employees. Because I think even though a lot of us have pivoted and we're working from home, the difference is that, let's face it, there's a lot of togetherness at home. And we used to look forward to going into the office, some more than others. Like you, I know why you look forward to going into the
Yeah.
office. I enjoy my job as well. But going into the office, seeing your coworkers, and we haven't been able to do that. Or if you have, it's not in the space that we're used to, if you will. So with that
Mhm.
being said, it's nice to know that you can bring a group together and do it safely, and make
Mhm.
sure that they have an experience that will inspire them in their creativity and the things that they're going to bring back to the masses, to continue to make the company grow and the employees feel valued and things like that. So
All of that ROI.
all of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
all of it.
Yep.
And it's so interesting. You don't you may not have really thought about that before, but my goodness, it's in the forefront now, right?
Absolutely. Most certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know it when it's gone, right? And you miss it.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, like, we're both mommies and wifeys, and how have you made that transition with all the changes that are going on, even amongst your family? I mean, we day to day, when you walk into the office or whatever, if it's your home office or, actually on property, but how do you make those changes to just reassure your little ones and, check in
Yeah.
with your spouse? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, gosh, man, that's the million-dollar question, right? Like navigating that world has been interesting. I am one of the lucky mamas that has a kid that's not school aged. So I'm not doing virtual learning and he goes to preschool. So
Yeah.
that has really made things a lot better. I give all of you parents mad crazy props that have had to deal with the virtual learning. Like I could not go back
It's
to having to figure out how
terrible.
to do algebra, like especially Common Core style. No, 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 no. Not enough Scout and Cellar wine in the world, unless you join our wine club
Right?
and it comes monthly. Maybe then, no. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've actually enjoyed it. It's taught me a lot. Like you, Cheryl, I know that you are like, you unpacked the suitcase and you repacked the suitcase and you
Yes.
unpacked it and then you repacked it and you're go, 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 right? And it was just
Mhm.
always, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And if you had a down
Right.
weekend, you're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do this weekend? Like, we need to do something this weekend. And like, you just, why? Like, this has taught me why. Like, why did I do that? I have a beautiful home. I love Oregon. Like, I
Yes.
love my family. Like, why were we always go, go, go? And what did
Hmm.
we get out of that? And so that's what I keep saying. Like, when we say going back to normal, I am not going to let that be our normal again because I
Right.
don't think that we got too much from it. I think this has been really wonderful for us to all reconnect again. So, yeah,
That's your silver lining. That's your
yeah,
silver
it is.
lining. Yeah. It's easy to look at all the negatives and all the things that, are Captain Obvious. We know that, there are things that we would love to change, but there's also that part, I have to tell you, being able to be close to your family, checking in with I mean, I have a 24-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, the 15-year-old is now, his school is right in his room, but he still manages to miss some classes. I'm a little confused in that. We'll talk offline about that.
Yeah, yeah.
But with that being said, it's been wonderful to be able to connect with family, and you realize how valuable that time is, how valuable it is when I look over and I look at my kids and I see that they're growing and they're doing their thing. But like, you can't tell now, in my beautiful studio, but behind me is the Peloton, and yeah, I'm sitting
Oprah
in the
Studios right next to you, right?
that's
That's
right.
about,
That's
yeah.
right.
Okay, I thought
And
so.
I'm sitting in the family room, and they'll come down and I'm feverishly typing or something, or trying to figure something out. And it's just like, hey, mommy, I love you. And I'm like, oh, I love you too, baby. And then it's just like, so what's for dinner? I'm like, oh, is that what that
Okay,
was about?
we're back. All
Yeah, we're
right.
back to that. But it's those
Okay.
moments that you realize that
Yeah.
are so very meaningful, and the time that we've spent together. And I can tease and be like, it's been a lot, and it has been, because it's different. But it
Mhm.
also is very valuable in the sense that, these are, had I thought about, like, how I was much like you, go, go, go. Had I been on, this would have been my 12th trip that I would have just completed for the year.
Yeah.
And we still have at least 2 more months to go. And so what that says to me is that maybe I'm gone a week out of every month, and I'm not missing things, but now I'm catching everything, dirty socks
Yes.
and all. But it is what it is. And you
Everything.
you
Yeah.
you have to appreciate those God-given moments, and just be thankful that, number one, that our families are safe, and that, yes, we do have a job. Survivor's guilt or not, we're able to
Mhm.
still provide for our families, and that means something. And we have toilet paper. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Charmin, for bumping up production. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
But Costco and I are friends, Walmart and I. And it's the funny thing is, it took me a minute because, I like to cook, and I love to go to the grocery store to purchase, my groceries or what have you. I have been, I don't even get on the laptop anymore, girl. I have the app. I'm doing all of my shopping. It gets delivered to the door. I'm just like, oh my goodness. And then, the holidays are fast approaching. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what's important to me? It's not what's going to be under that tree. It's going to be the fact that we're all sitting here and we're safe, we're healthy, and we're all going to be wearing our Grinch pajamas because I just ordered them on Walmart.com. So
They'll be delivered tomorrow.
yes, they will be. So,
Yeah.
we have things that, we have to look at the positive sides of things as well. And yeah, this is uncomfortable and it's different, but at the end of the day, we have our families, we're healthy, and this too shall pass.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then if you're a girl like me and you have a friend named Jena, it just works out. It's just like, hello, you have, oh, wait a minute. So I have to do this because I know that we're nearing the end of our time. So I'm going to go ahead. Hold on. Tell me when. Oh, still go? Okay. So I know that we're ending the end of our time together, but again, I can't say enough wonderful things about you. I think that obviously what brought us initially together was the connection through Sunriver Resort. And I mean, let's face it, it is a magical place. But beyond that, I think about you starting your business and who you are to your family and your friends and your colleagues. And that has to stand for something. You know what I mean? And I think this pandemic, and I want to cheers to this, is that as much negativity and other things that is attached to it, the one thing that is also attached to it is that we're recognizing the value and relationships.
Yeah.
And I love the people that I work with. I love the fact that I can connect with you even through this, even through the podcast, through Zoom. I think about when we were just connecting. I was just like, oh, I'm not worried about this technology issue because guess what? I have a friend in you. I have someone that yes, we'll come together to do business, but guess what? We also come together when we're at events like that. And it's just like, girl, how are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Your hair looks good. I love the glasses. You know how we do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You fill my cup, girl. So I so appreciate that. And I'm definitely going to walk away from tonight just being so glad that you and I met those years ago and can continue this relationship and really foster it through these ups and these downtimes. So
absolutely. And I feel the same way. Cheers to you. Before we close out, I always love to give an opportunity for you to not only, and I hate to say plug, but plug your business and share with people how they can get in contact with you. What if they just want a bottle of this rosé that I'm drinking, or they want the wilderness? Let them know how they can get in contact with you, because they'll bombard me. And if they bombard me tonight, I'm gonna be like, well, hold on, let me go ahead and let this clean wine run through my, course through my veins, and then I'll get back to you tomorrow. So let them know how they can get in contact with you.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we have over 50 clean crafted wines at Scout Cellar. Right now, we are launching our gift packs, which are awesome. It makes gifting super easy. So these are some of our gift packs with 2 bottles of wine in here, ships free. And there's just a lot of really great product. Yeah, I love these ones. This is our Scout Cellar sample pack. I call them our little Barbie bottles. So you get 4 little, 2 reds and 2 whites to just get your feet wet and find out what clean crafted wine is. After drinking conventional wine, I swear to you, you're going to be like, I can't do that anymore if you're like me, who doesn't like to not finish something.
We do not believe in alcohol or wine abuse. So if you crack a bottle, the bottle needs to be completed in the same day that it's opened.
Yeah, the point of a cork, I'm unsure, but it's best shared with friends. So share it with friends. But yeah, you can reach me, my website, if you want to go check it out and just order. You can't reach me through there, but you can go look at the product. is scoutandcellar.oregon.com. Or if you want to reach me, it's scoutandcellaroregon@gmail.com. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have, or if you're like, hey, my mom likes, this kind of wine, like what should I buy her? I can help you out and make you look really good for the holidays.
Let me ask you, what's your favorite wine?
I think right now I'm gonna lean towards the Resident Pinot Gris.
Okay.
I don't like a super fruity wine. I like something that's a little more on the drier side, and this one really does it for me. So that one right now is one of my personal favorites.
Awesome. So, I'm a rosé all day girl. I'm a little extra. I like that. But I have to tell you, like I cannot plug this enough. And I'm not just, and anybody knows me, they'll be like, oh, there's Tito's. I mean, Cheryl, because they know how I love Tito's.
I know that about you. Yeah.
Yes. So when I got this, I was just like, okay. And it's wine and okay. And I woke up and I'm like, my head is together and okay. And it makes a mean mule, girl.
Yeah. Absolutely. The Wilderness Road mixables are awesome. You can drink them on the rocks or mix them with something. And again, it's wine. It's just how they ferment it that makes it higher alcohol so that it tastes more like a liquor and without the sugars.
Without the sugar. And yeah, I'm working. And so there behind me, there is a Peloton and I get on it. And so after you work out really hard, you want a good glass of wine, right?
You deserve it.
So, there's less sugar and you feel like you're doing something good for yourself and you're celebrating that, you didn't die on the Peloton. So yes.
And you made it through the day.
And that too. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I always love to give my guests an opportunity to acknowledge anybody that's in their lives that they want to just give a thank you to or acknowledge or whatever the case may be. I know that you've spoken a lot about, which is near and dear to my heart as well, Sunriver, and also your new ventures, Scout Cellar. But this is your opportunity to shout out anybody that you would like to shout out. And I just will put that plug in there. You have the most beautiful family ever. And you have a lot of reasons to be blessed. And your husband and your son are definitely two very important reasons for you to feel that way. And you guys just look like you belong on a Hallmark card. Let me just say that. Yeah.
You are too sweet.
I'm serious.
I mean, I think I just came off of a girls' weekend, and when you go to girls' weekends, and it tends to be like like my husband doesn't do this, my husband doesn't do that, and I just sat there kind of quiet and like
my boo does.
And I'm like, no, you guys, like I have the perfect man, and it's not like we've known each other. I mean, we've been together in our adult life longer than we haven't. We were college sweethearts. So I think in him, like I truly have a best friend, and he pushes me and lets me just be my crazy self, and it's just there ready when I need him.
I love that. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I've been with Dominic. Wait, this year is it? Don't tell him. 27 or 28 years.
My goodness.
Yeah.
It's so weird when you're only 27 years old.
Yeah, it worked out that way. It was an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, you're very fortunate. Again, we could complain about a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that we're very lucky or very fortunate for. And your baby too, he's just so adorable, and he just loves his mama. And your family, and when I say picture perfect, we all know anybody that's married or has children, you all know it's not cute and it's not perfect. But when I tell you it's packaged and it's, you guys do you so well. And I love the fact that you say when you go into work, you're happy to go in there. When you're at home with your family, I mean, no matter what challenges we face, you're happy to be with your family. A lot of people can't say that, Jena.
I know. You're so right. You're so right.
And, it's those times. And I mean, I've been on a few girlfriends weekends too, and I get it. It's not easy, but I like standing in the gap and saying, you know what? We have so many things that, could be happening, and we're very fortunate and we're blessed. I'll call it what it is. We're very blessed in that regard. Um, I feel very blessed that my job has brought me to meet not only you, but several other people. No, let me just say this. Nobody's like Jena. Let's be clear. No one is like my Jena. But
You are too sweet.
I've also have other partnerships with people that I've done business with, that we've connected with. And I think about, in the midst of this pandemic, like, this has been the push button to say, you know what? Check in with your strong people, but not only check in with the people that are strong, check in with those people that you may not talk to every day. And I think you even mentioned this early on, like, when we connect, it's like picking right up where we left off.
Mm-hmm.
We're just there, and I love that. I love the last time we were together. Did we close down the bar? No, we didn't do that. No, we closed down the lobby.
Yeah.
I mean, the lobby,
they close early.
They close very early. But I say that to say, it's just like, it's refreshing when I see you, and I know that it's always going to be a good time. We're going to connect. We're going to connect on a business level, but we're going to connect as wives, as mothers, and girlfriends. And I love that. I love that. I love the fact that all of my experiences bring me full circle, and I get an opportunity to meet with people who value who I am as a person, but also are open to receive, that connection. And whether it's work or friends or family or whatever it is, we're going to connect, we're going to have a good time, but we're going to walk away from each other, one, looking forward to the next time that we connect, but two, also knowing that we have each other's back.
Yeah.
And Lord knows we need that right now, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of what you're doing. I
Thank
know what
you.
you do on the hospitality side, but just seeing you in the midst of all of everything that's going on in the world, and you were like, I'm gonna start me a new stream of income. I'm gonna connect with people. I'm gonna bring happiness in a bottle. Hold on.
Yeah. Yes, girl. I'm gonna need you as like my commercial.
I got you. But my thing is this, it's like, anybody can crack open a bottle of wine or whiskey or whatever it is that they drink. The one thing that is wonderful is that when you crack open a bottle and you're able to share with someone and connect, and know that when you part ways, the next time you open up a bottle, whether they're there with you or not, you'll have that thought of that person and be like, man, I wish Jena was here. Or, you know what I mean? It's that connection, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord knows we need it.
Yeah. Beautiful way of bringing people together. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. And just, the end result is always good conversation and great connection. So that's
And you're
why
inspiring so many people. And let's just call a thing a thing. You're inspiring so many women. This is a time for us to uplift each other and show that, yes, you can start a new business. You can bring joy to someone else. You can bring that positivity even amidst everything that's going on, and show someone that, you know what, I'm doing this and so can you.
Yeah.
And I always say, there's room at the table for everybody. There's literally room at the table for everybody. And when you're doing it and you're doing it well, you're proof that it can be done.
Absolutely.
And Jena, you're that proof.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate that. I really do.
Well, I appreciate you blessing me and coming on my platform and sharing so much. You are just, you get me right here. Whenever I see you, I know people, we will break through the masses and we get to each other. And I'm just like, oh, you didn't know that's my girl. Okay, relax.
Oh, here we come. Here we go. They have a special
here.
aisle for us at shows. We just can run.
Absolutely. Just keep doing what you're doing and just know that not only is it value, but it's definitely well received. And I just appreciate everything that you bring to the table in your personal and your professional life. And I'm just fortunate to call you a friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me come on your show. This has been incredible experience. And I'm just so proud of you and what you're doing. You're living your dream and you are living it out loud. So you keep running with it.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you. As always, I love to tell everyone, thank you for coming to my platform, but also thank you for giving an experience to all of my listeners and the viewers. That's the one good thing about being on, Zoom, if you will. You're able to see, and it's one thing to listen, but it's another thing to be fully engaged. And Jena, you are an amazing lady. You bring so much to the table, and I'm very fortunate to have you in my life. I'm very fortunate to say that, from the standpoint of being an event planner, you make me look like a rock star. I can bring back and they were like, how do you know that? I'm like, I got this, trust me.
Yeah.
And then, your professionalism and everything else that you do so very well. And again, anybody that has a Jena, not my Jena, well, maybe a little bit, I'll share. But anybody that has a Jena in their life, is specifically you, they're very fortunate and very lucky. So thank you for all that you bring to the table. Thank you for your friendship.
Thank you, Cheryl. Couldn't appreciate
Certainly.
you more. Thank you.
Thank you.